Well, thank you everyone for coming. Welcome. We also have some people from LA as well. Everyone's from LA, yeah, square. So thank you, Mrs. Halpin, for putting this together. And Mrs. Halpin actually contacted me to give this class. We're trying to put this out, and we've been giving it to G4. People know with the men in G4, and apparently they've enjoyed it and they've gotten something from it. So Mrs. Halpin reached out to me to give the class to you guys. It's not usually I don't usually give classes to women, but we made an exception for this. So that's my introduction. The class is called Journey to a Blessed Life. And to begin, I just want to say that according to the way I understand things, the world has divided, since education has been a thing, which has been for thousands of years. The way I see it, education is divided into two clean sections. There's a clean break. The first section of education was before AI, and the second section of education is after AI. And I really don't mean that lightly. I mean that really that this course has only been possible because of AI. I've used AI in every facet of this course in so many different ways, and it's so powerful. And that means this course, I've been teaching for years now, and I've been learning for even longer than that. And we have an amazing opportunity now with how quickly we can receive information. And if we're clever, how deeply we can also bring the information in. Only if we're clever. If we're not clever, then it's the opposite, because our minds are going like this. Yeah, but if we're clever, we can harness this technology, and we can bring these ideas so deeply inside us. It's quite amazing. So this course is really, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that I don't know about, but to my knowledge, especially in the Jewish world, this is kind of a one-of-a-kind thing, and you'll see why that is. I don't say that stomach. Okay, so the first thing that we need to, I'm going to explain what the course is about, but we need to preface everything by understanding a Hebrew term called das, or dat, dalad, ayin, taf. Okay, there's a lot of ways to talk about it, but I want to talk about it what I've learned from my Rebbe in one kivun, in one gisha. How do you say that? In one In one approach. Okay, das is when you become identified with information. What does that mean? So what's the difference between sitting in a class learning from someone and the lady or the gentleman at the information desk at Ben Gurion? You would think that when you're learning, you're just giving over information. But we know there's a profound difference between the guy at the information desk and someone teaching. And it's not just in the kind of information they're giving over. The difference is that hopefully a teacher is connected on a level of das to the information they're giving over. Okay, that means that they've actually become the information. So I'll give you a very obvious example, a good example. There's a software called Wix, a website building software called Wix. Okay, if you had been involved, it's a whole world, it's a whole ecosystem of how to you can get involved in the community there and learning how to do this and do that, etc., etc. If you've been completely immersed in that software, okay, and you're sitting in a restaurant with your friend or your husband, whoever it is, and someone in the booth next to you was having a conversation and they said the word Wix, yeah, you would turn around in exactly the same way as if they were to have said your name. The exact same way. And there's things that you're involved in your lives right now, projects at work or things in the family or your different kids or whatever it is you're involved in, things that you're intimately connected with, information that you're intimately connected with. And if you were out and about and you heard someone say that word, you would turn around in the exact same way as if they had said your name. That's because there's a point where you and information kind of the borders get blurred and you start to merge with that information. And that's what we call identification. That's when you've identified with information, like a person who supports a football team. Yeah, somebody supports Manchester United. Yeah, then when you hear Manchester United, you turn around. That's a person's identity. Okay, what we're trying to do when we're learning is to identify with the information, assuming the information is good information. That's what it means to learn, is that we actually merge with the information, we become one with the information, and that's the difference between a teacher and the lady at Ben Gurion Airport. That information is something external. She's quoting information. So, for example, when you could read through, type into Google, give me the 100 best quotes of all time, and you will read 100 profoundly, meaningful and deep quotes, and you'll zip through all of them, and you'll finish the search, and nothing would have happened. No change whatsoever, even though you've witnessed this profound information, this profound wisdom. Why? Because for any of that knowledge to actually make a difference, you have to get it inside. So how do you, the way they talk in Kabbalah sometimes is that the idea falls into your das. Yeah, it's like a nice, a visual to have. So how do you get an idea to fall into your das? Anyone has an idea? How do you merge with information? How do you identify with information?
Contemplate on it, meditate.
Good, yeah, number one.
You teach it to somebody else.
Teaching is a great way of doing it, yeah.
Chazara.
Chazara, because that's the three ways, yeah. That's the 3 ways. Baruch Hashem, you're all in the ball. So the way that I've originally learned is by Chazara. So this course is based on the book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Anybody is aware of that book? Anybody read the book? Put your hand up if you read the book. If you read it more than once. Anyone read it more than once? Yeah? More than twice? Twice. So that's usually, most people, nowadays, people don't even read books once. To read a book twice is extremely rare. To read a book 4 times is almost unheard of. So I don't know how many times I read that book, maybe 6, 8, 10 times, I don't know. So what happened when I read that book for the first time, something changed in me, and I saw that this wasn't regular information, and I needed to it wasn't enough that I'd just gone through the book. So it was the first book, this was probably 12 plus years ago. As I finished the book, I remember very clearly, because it was a weird thing that I did. As I closed the book, I opened it again, and it was like a 700-page book in my mind, as opposed to a 350-page book. Since then, all I do is I reread my books. But what happened after I reread the book, and then I read it again and again and again, I started to actually merge with the ideas in the book, and I became the ideas. So I stopped quoting the ideas. I didn't need to say, so-and-so, Stephen Covey said this, Stephen Covey said this. It was just the way I saw reality. You would never dream of quoting your 2 times table in the name of your kindergarten teacher who taught you your 2 times table. It's you, that's how you see the world. So I've been scratching my head for years working out how to help people with this, because I realized after all these years of trying to push people into reading books at least once, knowing that was just the scratching the beginning of the surface, I kind of lost hope. It became just something so distant that people would actually read a book a few times, and that's how you fix yourself. See, we're in this world of all these quick fixes, these seminars, these meditations. You're going to bump into the next YouTube thing that's the next trick or tip or whatever, yeah? But unfortunately, maybe not unfortunately, either way, it doesn't work like that. Yeah, if you want to have a beautiful life, it's all to do with how your mind works. And there's only one way of dealing with that, and that's rewiring your mind. And the only way of doing that is by getting information into your das, getting good information into your das. There's no There's no a meditation can maybe make you feel nice, usually for an hour, maybe a drop low, maybe a drop less. But to actually change the mechanics, the structure of your mind, goes through going through information again and again and again, and it gets so boring, and again and again. It's like people are feeling tense hearing this, yeah? This just is how it works. There's also teaching it, there's contemplating it, etc., etc. So I've been scratching my head, how can I help people with this? Because I'm like, here's my wife, you can ask. I'm like one of these guys, if I decide something, I do it. That's who I am, yeah? And so I've developed this, and then over the years as well, I've gotten more stubborn. And if I decide I'll do it, and I'll go again and again and again and again and again. But it's taken quite a long time to work up to that. So I've been trying to work out a way of helping people do that, because I know that's the only way that life is going to get better. It's the only way. It really is the only way. If your life isn't good as it is, it's because your mind isn't working in an effective, healthy way. And the only way of getting it in line is by what we just said, having good ideas fall into your das. So this is where this course comes in. So for the past, I've been a photographer for many years. And we opened up a school of photography. Firstly, a physical school of photography, maybe 10 years ago, 12, 15, I don't know, a long time ago. And then we turned it into an online school of photography about, I think, 2017, so 8 years ago. And that was just before like the whole online thing, like it was at the time, and it was really, the online courses were taking off. And we're in the Jewish world as well. Yeah, and it's a Jewish course. All the pictures are Jewish. It's not like, it really wasn't going to be going out there. So I decided, instead of going for like, a cheap course that you could cast out, I went for a high ticket course where there was personal interaction with me, etc. And we charged a lot of money. We're charging $1,000 plus. Now it's $1,500 for the course, which is a lot of money. And the way that we were successful, after learning all the marketing techniques and everything, I realized I had to make a guarantee. That was the way that we were going to be able to really pull people in, if I could guarantee them absolute success. So I went all out and I created a 110% guarantee. I said that the course is going to cost you $1,000, $1,500, whatever it is. And at the end of the course, for any reason whatsoever, yeah, you don't have to tell me there is. If you do the course, you do as we say, and at the end of the course, you want your money back, just drop me an email. I will give you all your money back plus 10% as an apology for wasting your time. And I slap that all over my website. It's still on the website. You go there, zerotopro.website. You'll see it all over the website. So what I was forced into doing was creating a system that really, really worked. And Baruch Hashem, we've had over 2,000 students, and one woman asked for the money back, whatever. No one asked for the money back. Kitzer, one crazy woman at the beginning, and she didn't want the 10% as well, and she did it to get the money back. Anyway, but Kitzer, no one asked for the money back. What I was forced into doing was developing a method of teaching that really works, because at the yeshivas, there's not like that much riding on it. Like, so what if the kids don't really understand? You have to be a really, really dedicated guy to, like, if that's a real problem for you. So in the yeshivas and in schools as well, I suppose you've got exams, it's more important in the schools maybe. But I really had to work out a method of helping people have these ideas fall into their das. So that's where this comes in. So I've got a list of different things that I'm just going to explain what we've done. So basically what we've done is we've taken that system that my online school is called Zero to Pro, okay? And it really does it. The goal is to take you from zero to pro in 10 weeks, and it really works. It really does work. So what we've done is we've taken the Zero to Pro system that we've been teaching photography for the past 8 years, and we've moved it over into learning like really important stuff. Although that's important because you can get parnasa, etc. There's lots of nice things about that. But this is really important stuff because this is really what our lives are based on. This is what blessed life is about. So a very important part of this is that we've got this book. So this is nearly a 200-page book, and it's a very beautiful. I take a lot of pride in this. It's a very beautiful book with lots of beautiful imagery, and it should be really a pleasure for you to go through. Plus, it's not written in my usual kind of annoying, high, difficult to understand English. It's all been run through AI and made engaging and funny and hype and quick-paced and etc. etc. Yeah. So this was a big part of the Zero to Pro system. Was this booklet? Okay, so you want a book? So, it's lean, meaning we cut away everything that isn't absolutely essential. There's nothing that you're going to be learning here that isn't completely practical, B'ezrat Hashem. We've created rules. We've summarized things into very kind of, but I mean if you look at the actual principles, if you turn to page 3, you should be able to chazar the entire system by just reading through this. Live life, be humble, know your mission, do what matters, recognize the other, same team mindset, listen silently, then speak clearly, shalom uvracha. So the whole course is really summarized in those few words. Then if you turn to page, excuse me, turn to page 819 maybe. Yeah, turn to page 21. Sorry, 21. And you'll see again the whole thing is delineated. It's very, very systemized with the definitions all very clearly, where you are on the journey, etc., etc. So our minds generally work in a systemized way, or even if they don't, we appreciate systemization. So this is going to help us. At the end of, if you've just flipped to any page, basically you'll see at some point there's a slightly different font. It says key points. So when you go through, you can just look anywhere, just flick through and you'll see it says key points. So there's constant summaries of all the information. Lots of pictures to keep your 2025 brain interested. Tables, summaries, lists. There's role plays. There's entire role plays that are very interesting to read, to see everything very practically. There's lots of sections for notes, okay, all throughout the book. Okay. Now this is where we leave my Zero to Pro system, because that was designed 8 years ago, and now we're in 2025, and the world changed quite a lot. So this is where Zero to Pro gets left behind, and where Journey to a Blessed Life takes over. So Chazara, like Mrs. Halpern said, is the most important part of being koiner ideas with das. That's the way we say it, to be koiner, like to acquire ideas with das, to merge, to become one with the ideas. And I know that everyone hates Chazara with a passion, review. Everyone hates to review everything. It's like, imagine, that's why it's called news, by the way, because it's always new. And that's the pleasure of it. And you never, when you open up the news, you want to hear the next thing that Donald Trump's doing. You don't want to hear what he did yesterday. Yeah, that's why it's called news. So what we've done is we've actually created a whole soundtrack of really, really cool music, which my kids love, and they know the words off by heart. So the entire syllabus is summarized in 9 really cool songs that I listen to all the time. And I actually made a cappella for now because it's the Omer. Thanks to AI, Baruch Hashem. So there's a way to actually chazar the ideas through just listening to music, which is really helpful. Okay, now this is probably the most profound part of the course. If you turn to page 17. So this is everyone here on WhatsApp? I know a couple of you aren't. If you're not on WhatsApp, put your hand up. Okay, so what this course comes with is a WhatsApp group that's going to be admin only, so you're not going to get bothered by everyone. It's not going to bother you. This section of the course is called Seeds. Okay, Seeds stands for Steady Engagement Ensures Deep Scripting. Okay, so what I've been doing for the past month and a half, I don't know, is spending hours and hours and hours every day creating like little digital, it could be an image, it could be a small video, a 45-second video, a one minute video, an audio, some kind of emoji thing, whatever it is, basically that we're going to be pinging 3 things a day that go with what we've done for that week in the course, and it's all very fun and cool and lots of funny stuff, and it's really engaging. And from the course I gave at G4, people were actually looking forward to these things, which, imagine that, looking forward to something coming to you from WhatsApp, from some kind of systemized thing. But really that's what it is. We put a lot of time into it to make it as fun and as geschmack as possible. But what it's doing is, like we've said, steady engagement ensures deep scripting. So if you flip over the page to page 18, yeah, again, you will be, you're invited to interact as much as you like or as little as you like, but we would really recommend that you interact as much as you possibly can with this, because it's basically like going through the material again and again and again. It's like what I was saying to Mrs. Halpin, like, you know, when there's the tzedakah, they make the matching, you know, and everyone wants to give more when you know that it's going to get matched. Or one time there was a quadrupling that I saw, yeah. So you want to give as much as you can. So that's really what this is about. If you put in your 45 seconds, yeah, that's like cashing in an hour's of work, literally. So I would recommend, imagine this, is even pinning this group, yeah, and interacting with the seeds as they come in, and that will hopefully make a very big difference. It really will. And when we see these ideas and how unbelievable these ideas are, I think you'll agree that this will be a good thing to do. So you've got on page 18, the whole book is very interactive. So this book, by the time you finish the course, should be in pieces. You should want to buy a new copy for me, basically. It should be full of notes and falling to pieces. That's the idea, anyway. Okay, so that's really the mechanics of the course. Did you want to, we're going to move now into the information. You wanted to say a couple of things?
Some info, everybody. Welcome. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming.
Mrs. Halpin, do you want to stand here by the phone so they can hear?
Sure.
Then they'll be able to hear you.
I'm from LA. Alana initially. Hi, Alana. I don't see you, but hi. Okay, so hi, Alana. Okay, so the course, so if you choose to continue with the course after today, it's 500 shekel. You can talk to me about it. We also have sponsorships if anyone should need. The WhatsApp is very important. Oh, sorry. The 500 shekel includes your book. So if you're unsure, if you know you want to take the course, take the book home. If you're unsure, leave it. And if you decide to join, then we'll make sure you have it next time. And timeliness. I know that it's not easy to be so timely sometimes, especially as mothers and everything, but just try as best as you can, because I believe it's part of the course.
That's one of the things we're trying to. It's easier for you.
And is that it?
Yeah.
WhatsApp.
Oh, there's
WhatsApp.
the 2 WhatsApp groups.
There are 2 WhatsApp groups. One is Rishmal and I are admins. I'll be sending all the information that he gives me to send out. And the second group is for all of us to interact, should anybody want to, right?
Yeah,
like
the second group is completely optional.
Right.
If you want to be involved in that, if you don't. But the first group is not optional. The first group you have to be a part of. I spoke to Shiri. If this is my wife, by the way, Shiri, and this is my daughter, Dina. If somebody doesn't have WhatsApp, people who don't have WhatsApp, I think Shiri said she'll send out the 3 seeds each day, one time via email. So if you need email, we'll send it. It's not as effective exactly as having them spread out through the day, but I still think it's worth quite a lot. Okay, fine, thank you. Just as another quick thing as well, the reading There's the reading of the book each day, which is just a few pages, but to make it easier, I've cut and pasted it into the WhatsApp so that you'll be able to, if you don't have the book with you, you'll be able to have it on your telephone. I've just tried to make everything as absolutely easy for everyone as possible, because I really would like to see everybody be successful in this, because it's, when I think about the difference it made to my life, I would love other people to be zeicha to that as well. Okay, is there any questions? Okay. So this is the information, this is what we're trying to be koina. Okay. The first thing we need to discuss are two words in English: principles and paradigms. Paradigms and principles. We need to know what is a principle and what is a paradigm. Okay. So a good way of, another word to use for principle is a law. A principle is a law. Just like gravity is a law in the physical world, a principle in the world of what we call it morality or emotions means if somebody's nasty to you, you don't like them. It's like, of course. Yeah, but it's important to conceptualize this, because it's not, although we know this, every principle I say to you, I'm going to say a principle is a person who smokes cigarettes are going to end up more than probably with health complications. That's a principle. You're like, yeah, I know that. But once we make this very clear, you'll see this idea has the power to change your life. Another one, a really important one, is, for example, you can't trust somebody if they're not trustworthy. That's a principle. I mean, it's in the word trustworthy. The person's not worthy of trust. He's not trustworthy, meaning you have to earn trust. Trust is something that, and like respect. You can't respect somebody who is not respectable. Just doesn't, it's a principle. And you're like, yeah, sure, I never thought about that. So how do you get someone to trust you? Because you have to be trustworthy. Over a certain amount of time, everyone's got a different, people have got a barometer for how much time you need until you're considered trustworthy, yeah? And that can be broken very quickly. Like a guy who's, you can trust him 95% of the time. That's called untrustworthy, yeah? It's like a guy who's partially honest. He's a liar. So the crazy thing is, and this is really what the course is about, is that goes for you as well. Just like you can't trust somebody who is untrustworthy, you can't trust yourself if you're not trustworthy. So we go to these courses, these feel-good courses about you're so amazing, you're fabulous, you're you're hewn from under the kiseh covered, and you're so dear to Rabbanu Shalom, and you're so precious, and the world couldn't exist without you. We could go on forever and ever and ever, yeah? I'm going to give you a really annoying moshel. I'm sorry to give you this visual, but I think it's important. It's like taking one of those pellets out of a urinal and covering it in chocolate. If a person doesn't trust themselves or respect themselves, you can lay on all of the hyperbole you like, you're always going to feel off, deeply off. So there's no quick fix to this. Just like you can't make someone just trust you like that, you can't trust yourself just like that. And everyone knows that in a relationship, before love comes trust and respect. If there's no trust, there's no relationship. Who cares how much he loves you or how much I love him? Who cares? If there's no trust, there's nothing. And if there's no respect, this is really what this course is trying to give us. This course is trying to help us trust ourselves and respect ourselves. And there's no shortcut. I'm sorry. There's no meditation. There's no psych up affirmation. There's no boot camp you can go to. Yeah, this course is going to really try and help us build in ourselves in baby steps self-trust. And if you're like most of the people that I meet, then we need to start working on this, because most people that I know it's a minority of people that I meet who've got any kind of self-trust and self-respect. The minority of people. Maybe you guys are not in that minority, but from my experience in the world, most people don't trust themselves and most people don't respect themselves. And they think they don't love themselves. That's the problem. But it's not that they don't love themselves. Yeah, the problem is they don't trust and respect themselves. Because when you're in trust and in respect with someone, you can't help but love them. That's just how it goes. So basically the way this course works is we're going to help you try and build self-trust, build self-respect, and then you'll fall in love with yourself. But then what happens is once you fall in love with yourself, then you actually become yourself. And then you stop loving yourself because you're you. And now you can start having beautiful relationships with people, and once beautiful relationships with people really start to take root, then you're in a position to have a relationship with the Ribbono Shel Olam. That's really where we're trying to go with this. This is all a hakdama to the next course, which is another thing. But all of this is trying to get us to be, it's about being human. This course has got nothing to do with being Jewish. Maybe the last Shalom Uvrocha is to do with being Jewish. Everything until that is just about being human. How am I an effective human in this world? And that means someone that I can trust. If I'm an effective human, that means I will trust myself and I will respect myself and then I will love myself and then I'll become myself and then I'm in a really, really good place. B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, so a principle, like we just said, is a law that you just, like gravity. Talk to gravity. Try and have a discussion with gravity. Say, just this time, just one time, I would like to be able to jump off the building and I want it to be okay. And sit there, meditate on it for a month, 2 months, all the Shemus Hashem, you could be doing all the Kabbalistic meditations, etc., yeah? Gravity will not budge, yeah? Just like this idea of self-trust and self-respect. There's no one to talk to. It's a law. And it's just this is just an interesting thing, is everybody knows the Ramchal speaks about the Nahamad de Kasufa. You heard of this idea, the bread of shame? You heard of this idea? In the beginning, Hashem created the world and no one was working for it and there was bread of shame and therefore he redid the whole thing and now we have to earn our reward, yeah? So the question is, like Ribbono Shel Olam, why does there have to be bread of shame? Someone earns a freebie, Hashem, you made it that they feel embarrassed. Just change that law and you don't have to go through the whole thing of breaking the kalim and creating bechira, v'chule, yeah? No, why? Because he was showing you that even he humbles himself to laws. This is what principles are. Even the Ribbono Shel Olam said, there's a law that I made called you can't be a mensch receiving freebies, yeah? And I'm going to humble myself to that law. All you can do is humble yourself to principles. So this is what we're trying to do in this course, is we're trying to align ourselves with principles, okay? If you're nasty to people, they're not going to like you. That's a principle. So now we have to not be nice. If you don't care about people not liking you, then you can be nasty to people. But if you want people to like you, then you can't be nasty to people. That's pashut, yeah? But like we said, with the trust and respect, etc., that's laws. Now, what we're trying to align with principles is our paradigms. Now, paradigms are really the opposite of principles. Anyone knows what a paradigm is?
It's the way we see reality, the way we see the world.
Yeah, you could look at this is like these are our paradigm. These are our paradigms. So if I was to tint my glasses pink, yeah. Now all of a sudden everybody would be pink, and everything would be, depending on whatever, stuff. Everything would be pink. If I was to coat them blue, then everything would be blue. The way we look at the world, now that isn't how the world is. And you can't not have paradigms. You can't not have glasses. Like, there's all these kinds of paradigms. Like, I'll tell you a good paradigm that my dad gave. My dad gave me, Baruch Hashem, I had a good father, Baruch Hashem, good parents, Baruch Hashem. And my dad gave me a paradigm that basically everyone's good. That's such a big truth. I grew up with a man who said, basically everyone's good. Yeah, you meet every now and again, you meet a bad guy, but basically everyone's good. So now my interactions with people are assuming basically that you're good. See, paradigms is a good way of saying it. I heard, well, what's his name? Yoel Gold say, he didn't use the word paradigms, he said, I think attitudes. He said sometimes they're taught, but more often they're caught. Caught, he said it American. Yeah, but more often they're caught. Yeah, paradigms are caught. Yeah, many from your parents, many from the society that you grew up in. We're going to go into it in big detail. I'm not going to talk about it too much now. So when I interact with the world, I'm wearing glasses that basically say, look, basically everyone's good. And I've run my businesses over the years with that mindset. I've never made contracts with people. If we needed to remember things, we'd write stuff down. I have no contracts with employees, with clients. I just always assume everyone's good. And you know what? I'm 46 now, and I've had thousands of interactions on a business level with people, and tens of thousands of interactions. And I think my dad's right. I think basically everyone's good. Anyway. And then you meet another guy who can't trust anyone. He's wearing glasses that basically say everyone's bad. And you can't trust anyone. Look at a different life we're living. It's a completely different, he's in a different world to what I'm in. I come up to somebody, I give him my wallet to hold what I'm, and you got this guy who won't even leave his wallet on his table in his house because his kid's going to take money from him. What's the reality? What's the principles at work? Who's right, me or him? Well, I think I'm right, to be honest, and I've got a lot of proof to think that basically everyone's good. But imagine, let's just say everyone is good, and you're running on a paradigm of everyone's bad. What a waste of energy and time. What a waste. Like, I let all my employees deal with their own time. They log their time. I just to tell you when years ago as a wedding photographer, when it was all like off the books and whatever was all cash, at the end of the night, the female photographer would ask me for payment. I'd be up a ladder taking pictures, yeah, and she's asking me for payment. I would give her my wallet, yeah, and I'd say, just take what I owe you, yeah. But I would also add this. I would say to her as well, by the way, I'd have to shout it to her because it's loud, whatever. By the way, I have no idea how much money is in my wallet. And if you were to take more than what I owe you, I would never know. And then I'd give her my wallet. That was the level. So look how much time I save, as opposed to the guy who's running off the paradigm of everyone's bad. He's like, wait a minute, please, I'm going to come down. And he works. Just on a silly, you understand how that could multiply over life. There's a book actually called The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey's son that explains this. And we'll talk about this a lot more in detail. Anyway, so the goal of this class is aligning paradigms with correct principles. That's what we're trying to do. And these principles it's really 7 principles. The 8th one is kind of don't know what you call that, but live life, be humble, know your mission, do what matters, recognize the other, same team mindset, listen silently, then speak clearly. These are true principles. So what we need to do is we need to put on glasses. We need to put on live life glasses. We need to put on be humble glasses. We need to put etc. etc. Okay, so let me jump in now to give you the overview of the principles that we're going to try and align ourselves with over the next few weeks. So if you page 12 is this picture. This graphic is going to accompany us through the entire journey. So for example, if you turn to page 73, for example, yeah, you'll see as you hit the next principle, you'll see the image is repeated, and so you know where you are on the journey the whole way through. Okay, so this is the graphic. I think at the end of the course, maybe I'm going to print out little ones that people can have It's just a nice thing. Once you really know what's going on here, when you see the image, it should hopefully bring things back up. So we're a little bit out of schedule here, so I'm going to try and go a little quickly. In the book, I've actually added here, if you look, it says pre-self. I put that in afterwards. So you don't exist. Before you've started to live life, you don't exist. That's called pre-self and dependent. It means dependent on everyone else or everything else. Yeah, you are not running your own life. Your life is being run for you by everything else. Yeah, that's a person who's not living life. So the opposite of living life is being lived by life, which a lot of us feel like is happening to us. Yeah, life is something that we are a victim of as opposed to a hero in. Yeah, which is not correct, because we are capable of being heroes in our life, of being the star of our show, as opposed to just a background extra. So that's live life. Now, these 4 principles are about our relationship with ourselves, okay? And this is called self-trust, because like we said, trust is essential. That is the foundation of a relationship. There is no relationship without trust, nothing. So these 4 principles are building self-trust. They are giving us a relationship between ourself and ourself, an internal relationship. And now we become independent. We're not dependent on other stuff. Yeah, this means, if we are, the very definition of independent means this. So live life means I've taken control of my life, I'm in control of my behavior, I decide how I behave. I'm not going to have everyone else decide or everything else decide how I behave. I'm taking the reins, I'm taking control back. That's live life. Be humble means I don't know it all, okay, and I've got where to go, I've got what to learn, and I'm going to listen. I'm going to be a learn-it-all, not a know-it-all. That's the famous line that I have with one of my children. Be humble. Now you're in a great position to work out what your mission is in this world, okay? We need to work out our mission, because if you don't know where you're going, if you haven't got a mission, and we've all got a mission, everyone, we have a national mission because we're Yidden, and we have a personal mission because we're alive, okay? And we all have a mission, and there's something unique about you that Hashem wants dafka from you. And we know what it is as well. In fact, we're probably the only person in the world who actually knows what it is, and no one else is going to tell you. And we're going to work out ways of pulling that out of us, B'ezrat Hashem. Once you know what it is that you're here to do, now this is a tricky one. You have to do what matters, as opposed to doing what doesn't matter, which is what we do most of the time, yeah? So we have to try, once we know what we need to do, now we have to start doing it. So again, we're going to present a lot of ways of how to actually, manage our time. Some super practical, I'll just show you just something that I think is super practical, just to give you an idea of how practical this course really is if you turn to page 109, this is a new thing in the new book, this is the new edition. But this just shows you how practical we're trying to be here. 109 gives you a really good way of how to block YouTube from a Windows or a Mac computer, yeah, where if you need to get it, you can get back to it without having crazy filters, all that kind of stuff. And it actually gives you the way of how to do it, where you just put a little line of text in a funny folder in the C directory, and you won't be able to have YouTube. Imagine how much more you could get done without YouTube. This is that's just giving you an idea anyway. So there's a lot of, to say practical is a bit of an understatement. Okay, so now we've got, this is like called getting your stuff together, okay? Now we've got it all together. Now, sounds funny, but it's recognizing that other people actually exist, which is not to be taken for granted, because from our default child scripting, we've been told that really everything's about us and the world revolves around us. So when we meet another person, if you're a normal human being, you're usually trying to work out how do you fit into my life. Yeah, where if we recognize the other and appreciate that they're just as real as I am, then maybe we might start asking like, well, how do I fit into your life? How could I help you out? That's what recognize the other is. Okay, once we've recognized the other, now how do I relate to that other? Meaning everyone else. Yeah, and that's called same team mindset. Okay, we're all on the same team, and that's a very helpful advice for marriage. And once we're on the same team, then these 5 words, the way I understand it, are the key to healthy relationships. Okay, healthy communication, which is a foundation of relationship. Listen silently, then speak clearly. And these 3 principles are about shared trust. So these 4 principles are about building self-trust. Once we've kind of, so to speak, gotten into a good place with ourselves, now we're in a good position to move on to our relationships, bein adam l'chavero, which is between man and his fellow. And that is called interdependency. That's a privilege that only independent people have. When somebody has become independent, meaning they're not a victim of what's going on in their life, and they're actually independent, now they can make a choice to become interdependent, which is what could be defined as 1 + 1 = 3. When 2 people can work interdependently and be worth more than the sum of their parts. And once all of this is in place, then the final stage is really an outcome of all of this. It's really an outcome of all of this. And it's called Shalom Uvracha. And it's when all of the multiplicity of this world starts to fall away, and you start seeing how simple things really are, and everything becomes one, and that's called transcendent. So that's the final step after interdependent is transcendent, which doesn't now mean that you move into a cave in Meron or something like that. It actually means that you can really engage in this world in a profound way, but not be sucked into it. And then you'll see that the world is actually lifted up with you. So Shalom Uvracha is not actually the tree, it's actually the sun behind the tree shining on top of the tree. Okay, once we've gotten through this whole thing, you'll start understanding that we've got the roots, we've got the trunk connecting the branches, this is the expression, it's all very profound and cool, etc. And all of this really is called Derech Eretz. So this is what this course is really teaching us, which is Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz Kadma LaTorah. This is just how to be a human being. Okay, you know what I'm going to play the song for this section. It's with a cappella, so it's really much more geschmack than this, but it's still even the a cappella is quite cool. But just to give you a taste, this is not my favourite song. Dina, what's your favourite song? All my kids have got different favourite songs. No? My favourite one is, what's it called? Is Recognize the Other. That's the reggae one. Anyway. Okay. So, we finished now. You can let's just play this a moment. So read along with the words and you'll see this is how the course is going to work. It's on page 28, yeah, page 28, and you'll get an idea of how this is going to work. Again, it's the a cappella, so it's much more geschmack than this, but...
Principles, they're the truth, the core. They've been here forever, they're like the floor. Like gravity keeps us on the ground. They're unchanging, they're profound. Paradigms, oh, they're how we see. The mental maps of reality. They shape our thoughts, they guide our view. But they might need a change or two. Principles and laws, they never break. Paradigms and lenses we must remake. Align them right and it'll all make sense. A blessed life is the consequence.
Sounds like funky stuff there. This is all funky.
Trust and respect, they can't be faked. No shortcuts, no deals to make. If you want to be trusted, you must keep your word. If you want to be respected, it must be earned. A faulty paradigm will cause untold pain, like steering a ship through a storm in vain. They're not hard to see, but hard to accept. Cause changing your view takes courage and depth. Principles and laws, they never break. Paradigms and lenses we must remake. Align them right and it'll all make sense. A blessed life is the consequence. Learn it deep, let it grow. Act it out, let it show. Study, do, and then repeat. That's how success becomes complete. Don't fight the law, don't twist the frame. Life's not a trick, it's not a game. See the truth and fix yourself. Align your heart with something else. Principles and laws, they never break. Paradigms and lenses we must remake. Align them right and it'll all make sense. A blessed life is the consequence. So be courageous and check your lens. A real change begins where comfort ends. Principles don't yield, paradigms must be true. That's the secret, now it's up to you. Principles and laws, they never break. Paradigms and lenses we must remake. Align them right and it'll all make sense. A blessed life is the consequence.